Hey everybody, this is Patrick from Temp-Cast Masonry Heaters, and I am here with the homeowner in Minnesota, and we are going to be installing a Temp-Cast masonry heater right here in this closet. And no, right now it does not fit there. We got some work to do. So today's video, we just want to talk about where to put a masonry heater. Some ideas for you, like what to consider. And so I want to give you to just go over 5 points where just talk about what kind of considerations you should be thinking of when you're designing a location for your masonry heater. This is a retrofit. It's a little different if it's a new build. So if it's a new build, you can put them just about anywhere, right? Because you can adjust the building to the heater if it needs to be adjusted a little bit. In a new build, one of the things that you want to consider first off is just where do you want it, because you have to like it there. And the next thing to consider is just trying to optimize the heat of it. So a masonry heater works best if it can radiate out in all directions. A more central location is best for a masonry heater. So if you can try to find a location where you like it and also where it's going to optimize its heating ability by being more central, that's a great thing to consider. Also, just can the floor support it? So if in this situation, we're on the first floor, we're gonna have to put a footing to support this. The masonry heater, it's gonna weigh 7,000 pounds, 8,000 pounds when we're all said and done. And so it's important that you can get a footing in place to allow for the heater to be put on top of. So you've gotta be able to pour a footing, get concrete block up. In this situation, we want to put this over in this closet, so we're going to have to build the foundation up, we're going to have to cut the floor out, we're going to have to pour a pad to support the heater. And so that's something you want to think about, because you might want the heater here, but if every mechanical in the house is in this floor, that might make it cost prohibitive, and you might find a new location. And so those are the 3 big things. But then, very importantly, is we have to be able to get the flue gases out of the house. You can put a masonry heater up against an outside wall, but you can't put the chimney immediately to the outside and then go up with it. We want to keep the chimney in the house as long as possible for the sake of draft, and we'll explain that later. But as a builder, one of the first things I'm looking for is how do we get the flue gases out? Where can we put the chimney? Because if we can't put the chimney in the house, then we can't put a heater in there either. So those are the biggest tips as far as how to place a masonry heater in an existing house. Let me walk you through this home, and we're going to look at a couple different places that we were looking at that we decided not to put the heater. And we'll just go through these 5 things that we just talked about and look at a couple different locations. Okay, so here we are at the first location that we were considering. This is in the family room. It's against a wall, so the location, it seems like it's out of the way. Chimney should not be a problem. We're going right up through the roof here. And so this, from the get-go, seemed like a nice spot. A couple things where we started reconsidering this location is that this home is, it's an older home, so it doesn't have a humongous living room. So the heater footprint, you want to think that the masonry heater itself is going to be about 44 inches wide. It's going to be 7 feet tall, and off of a wall, it needs to be at least 36 inches off the wall. That starts to take up kind of a lot of space in this smaller family room. And then on top of that, there's a chimney that's going to be next to that. The chimney will be recessed back a bit, but that's going to take up another 16 inches. And so you want to be thinking, I need a total of 60 inches wide, because a masonry heater vents out the bottom and then it goes into a chimney. So you've got the heater and you've got a chimney right next to it. It is possible to vent it out the back, but for reasons that we will talk about, you don't want to vent out the back here. That would put you outside, in this case into the garage, which is not an option anyway. But you don't want your chimney going outside. You want to keep that heat in the chimney in the house. And so another consideration here is just the actual foundation. And we're going to go downstairs and take a look at the foundation where this would be, so that we can kind of see how that would work here in this spot. All right, so we're downstairs now, right underneath of the living room, and One of the reasons why this location was appealing in the beginning is because there's not a lot going on in the floor joists here. There is some things going on, but it's relatively easy. We got a plumbing pipe right here, a water pipe, and we've got another one right here. Okay, but that's about it. So what we need to do to support this heater is we have to build a block foundation that comes out of the wall, comes over this way, goes back to the wall, and then it gets built up and it supports this joist and this joist. And we might even build it to support this one. We just take the measurement here, but we might avoid this one, but we need to build a foundation, and then it needs to support these joists, and then we gotta cut this out so that we can pour a concrete pad on there, and that concrete pad is what we build the Temp-Cast on top of. And so when you have a retrofit like this home, one of the reasons why this location was a nice location is because we didn't have any HVAC in the floor, we didn't have any electrical in the floor, we didn't have any gas lines in the floor, or plumbing vent lines. There's a lot that's not here, and the things that are here can be moved very easily. And so this was a nice location from that perspective. But some of the reasons why we decided not to was more from functionality, and maybe we'll go back upstairs and just talk about that a little bit. All right, so here we are back upstairs again, and we just wanted to chat about why this wasn't the best location then. And for the most part, it's size, aesthetics, and then also functionality. So it's on an outside, it's on a far outside wall. And this is a radiant heating source. The masonry heater heats by directly heating objects. So from this perspective, heating the other end of the house is most difficult, because the closer you are to a radiant heat source, that's when you're directly heated by it. So what you want to do to optimize that heating capacity, to have it more centrally located to the house, is just better. And then on top of that, the homeowners here want to cook with their heater. They're going to be getting a bake oven as well installed. So having it so far away from the kitchen was undesirable from a practical use standpoint. The closer your bake oven is to your kitchen, practically speaking, you're more likely to use it and enjoy it. And so we're going to go take a look at a second location that was over here closer to the kitchen. All right, so the second location that was considered is right here, right, using the heater as a dividing space between the kitchen and the living space. This is a very desirable thing to do, and we do this very often on newer homes, on homes that have a larger living room kitchen area, because if you can, because you can put the bake oven on one side and you can put the firebox on the other side. You also have the option of having a firebox door on both sides so that you can see through and enjoy the fire from both sides. And so from that perspective, it's great. It's in the kitchen, it's fantastic. The firebox is in the living room, it's great. But the big drawback here is this is a load-bearing wall, and we already have a major opening here in the kitchen. So this load-bearing beam that would have to be installed up into the attic just becomes a larger deal to do. And then on top of it, the refrigerator starts about right here. And so the footprint just really didn't work out for this location. It would be a better idea is if we had this much space to work with, so that the heater could kind of absorb that whole wall where the refrigerator is behind here. And so there just wasn't enough space here as well to do this. And so the third location is what we wound up going with, because it kind of brings all of the elements together that we're looking for in a nice spot for a heater. All right, so we're back to our closet, and this is the final location. This is what we decided on. And so what we're going to be doing here is, the closet itself isn't big enough. What we need to do is, this is also a load-bearing wall. But one of the reasons why this works out okay is this is a multi-level home, and so right below here it's only 4 feet down to the floor. And so the foundation that we have to build underneath it here is very short, and there's actually a foundation wall right here that we can also borrow. So we really have a short foundation to build right here. So what we're going to be doing is taking out the back wall of the closet here, taking out the sidewall, the closet here. We're going to take this beam, this header that's right in here out, and we're going to open up this closet wall over to about here, right around where this electrical outlet is. And we're going to just open the whole space up, open to the ceiling, so that we have a nice recessed area. And then we're going to be building a foundation wall down below, pouring our cap, so that we can build our Temp-Cast core right on top of that. And we'll clad it, we'll install a chimney, and we'll show you how all that works. One nice thing about the reason we like this location as well is we're not going to have a back wall here anymore. The back of the Temp-Cast is going to be the back that is actually inside of the room downstairs here and upstairs here. And then the Temp-Cast can radiate heat out into the living room over here and the kitchen. And it's radiating heat backwards that way into the house. It's more centrally located in the house, so that radiant heat source is doing a really good job of heating the home. Also, the bake oven's right here. The kitchen's right over here with an eyesight. So it's just an overall great location in this home. And then being recessed back, it's not going to take up any space. It might stick out of the wall here a few inches, but that's about it. And so from that perspective, we lose a closet, but we don't lose space in the room. And we're going to have a great centrally located for the heater. And we'll head downstairs and we'll take a look at what that looks like down there. All right, so we're down a level now in the home, and this is the area. This is the closet right here, the closet walls that we talked about that we're going to be taking out. And so this is the foundation we were talking about. So this is one level down. The house drops yet another level. And so this foundation goes all the way down. And what we're going to need to do is build a block wall right here. We're going to have to cut the floor open and put in a concrete pad large enough for the whole heater. Build a block wall over. We're going to move it, the whole works over this way, probably about 16, 18 inches to make the space big enough. And then the block wall here, and then we pour a concrete pad on top of that block wall that we built. From there, we can put the Temp-Cast on top of that concrete pad. And so that's our process. That's where we're at. The next thing we're going to be doing is we're going to show you some demolition.